All right, sweet. We are live. We are live. Unfortunately, something's going on with the game capture thingy. It's not letting me to the layout display layout on it to where I can put on my face. Um, I just don't know what the deal is with the just like the layout on top because it's been working every time except for now. Like it literally was working 5-10 minutes ago. If that's not the case now, we'll go ahead and fuck it. We'll do it live. So here we go. First matchup of the week. This is the Week 8 edition of the Goon Squad fantasy show. Fantasy preview, fantasy show, whatever you want to call it. Tomato. Um, we'll just have to see what the deal is. So, let's see what's up. So, here we go. And we're off, folks. We got the first matchup. Of course, it'll be my matchup just because it shows up first in here. Not because, I favorite myself or anything like that. But we do have an interesting matchup right here. If he finally gets his wide receivers on pace, then he could get about 40 to 50 points from both of those wide receivers. It does depend on the liking of Matt Ryan's ankle heading into this week. Even though in itself, who knows? Maybe Matt Schaub targets Julio Jones the way he should be, and he's playing Seattle. I mean, it has the potential for a really good matchup in this one. So let's go ahead and look at Steven's team. 2-5, 10th right now. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Steven right now is on a season-ending IR revenge tour, and then back to the main. Officially now, Steven, I believe, is on a 5-game losing streak. But that will happen if DeAndre Hopkins is underperforming greatly and Julio Jones just isn't having the most consistent quarterback play, which has kind of been the thing the past couple of seasons with Matt Ryan. But it's all good. Because I honestly think Matt Schaub might end up helping these guys out. So who knows? Who knows? So let's look at it. Jared Goff at home. Jared Goff is way better at home. Going to be playing Cincinnati. Good play right there. Jameis Winston could be iffy right there, but Lamar Jackson, Baby Goat, is officially on bye. So with that being said, it does appear that I'm just gonna have to play with Jameis in this one. Fuck it. And then after that, I might just drop Jameis for something else, get some collateral. Um, some capital, some collateral for the league, and just use a positional player that has high upside just in case something happens to an injury. God forbid, but it is football, so it happens all the time. So we got Jameis. I do think Jared Goff, though, is in a better spot than Jameis is, even though Jameis and them will most likely have to resort on the passing game against Tennessee. I mean, this is the same coach, Mike Vrabel, who said he would cut off his own dick for the team. So, with that being said, it's going to be an interesting game in Tennessee. Ryan Tannehill will be playing on the other end, and I think Tannehill's a good daily fantasy player to have as a low price quarterback. This week we saw Daniel Jones. I believe he threw four touchdowns in the second half of that game when the Giants played him without Saquon Barkley and company. So, I mean, it's going to be a high scoring game. I think it is with Tennessee. So, Jared Goff, I do think is better. He's not projected as much, but I think Jared Goff has a high floor this week. Damian Williams against Green Bay. We'll see if they check down the ball more with Matt Moore at quarterback. He is more of the check down type. Kenyon Drake. Trade rumors around him. We'll have to see what the dealio is with Kenyon Drake. If Kenyon is going to be sent to Detroit to handle the woes that have come with Johnson being put on the IR. Speaking of, Josh Gordon on the IR as well. So DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, great plays. I mean, you're going to have them anyways in your lineups. Evan Ingram, I mean, he's going to have a bounce back game, I think. Not like a huge game necessarily, but I mean, when you're looking at it, this Detroit defense is pretty good. But if you're going to have a guy that can have a better matchup than having, the likes of a Darius Slay on a Darius Slayton. So that's going to be funny. Is Darius Slay on Darius Slayton Golden Tate will have a revenge game, so that should be interesting. Miles Sanders against Buffalo. Um, we did see Le'Veon Bell get a lot of catches against Buffalo, so there's a possibility that Miles Sanders might be utilized in the passing game, and Jordan Howard is just Jordan Howard. They sit Jordan Howard out of town for David Montgomery, and you can tell by how bad David Montgomery has been playing. That also should tell you how much you should trust Jordan Howard. So I think Miles Sanders is the better of the running backs this week against Buffalo. Carlos Hyde is in a tougher matchup against Oakland, but we'll have to see. Maybe we'll get a touchdown or two. Just that offense is going to be moving through the air, and maybe he can rack up 6 to 12 points worth of touchdowns. Chargers play Chicago. At first, doesn't seem too great just based upon how the Chargers have been playing. However, though, Chicago is really looking in dire straits. Not looking so good right now. Zane Gonzalez, good play at kicker as always. Just don't have to deal with anybody kickers at all at that point. Nick Chubb is in a tough spot, but I just had to play him. I don't know. But at the same time, I mean, do I need to try to get cute? I don't know. This could be one of those games that New England actually loses to Cleveland, and then Cleveland gets back on track. We'll have to see. But Cleveland's going to be, fun to watch regardless of, they'll be fun to watch if they just get dumped on and Baker gets dumped on, or they'll be fun to watch if Odell and Baker are playing really well, and Nick Chubb as well. Aaron Jones is in a really good spot against Kansas City. Devontae Adams is in a really good spot to get Kansas City. Unfortunately, though, there's a good chance he might not play, so who knows? Who knows? I mean, that's a high projection for my team, but that doesn't really necessarily mean anything when my top wide receiver, even though it does seem that my top wide receiver is Chris Godwin lately. I mean, he's just Chris God. That's it. And then you got Darren Waller at tight end against Houston. It's a tougher matchup, but Darren Waller has just been a great breakout player at tight end. Chris Carson's in a good matchup against Atlanta. Austin Eckler, they're not going to be able to run the ball very well, and they haven't really at all with Melvin Gordon, but that doesn't change anything with Eckler. Eckler is totally getting things done in the passing game. He had 118 yards receiving last game. I believe it was on 8 catches. So the guy was, nearly averaging around 14 per catch? No, was 8 times? No, it's around 15 per catch. Yeah, 15 per catch because 15 times 8 would be 120. I believe so, right? Yeah, because 10 times 8, 80. And then 5 times 8 is, Yep. 1.5 times 80 would be 120. There's some math for you. Colts defense, I think, are in a good spot. Just picked him up. Matt Bryan as well. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say sorry, Steven. I think you're gonna go 2-6 in this one. Barbecue sauce 5-2, a team that's actually won 3 or 4 games in a row now. What the fuck? Showing the other. Now come on, switch it up. All right, we're gonna go to league schedule. Sorry, it's just glitching out for some reason. ESPN can't handle it, even though it's supposed to be the biggest fucking name in sports. Can't handle the fucking online, volume of people using their fantasy app. Fuck me. But hopefully y'all are doing well while this loads up. This is like that point of the dinner to where, people that you're comfortable with went to the bathroom and you're there having to sit down with the person that you're not as comfortable with, and you're just having really weird small talk. That's what it is right there. And now we're back. Oh, thank God. So Russell Wilson against Atlanta, great spot. Matthew Stafford against the Giants is a great spot as well. Would prefer Wilson. I mean, Russell Wilson's just a beast. Again, Denton Degens. I love Stewart. Might be my favorite character in Letterkenny. He's just so fucking weird and awesome. Same time, James Conner is in a good spot. We'll have to see about his injury stuff, but it's against Miami. Cleveland has been decently good against the run. They've even have a couple big plays, but Sony Michel hasn't seen like the type of running back to bust out 50, 60-yard runs. So we'll just have to see about that. Kenny Galladay in a really good spot. So if Kenny Galladay gets hot, Matthew Stafford's going to get points, but technically Kenny Galladay is going to be taken advantage of. So that's nice leverage right there by Bob. Chargers, They're going to try to get Casey Hayward on Allen Robinson. We saw Marshawn Lattimore couldn't just hold. They just kept on throwing it to him. Trubisky did. So eventually he had 80 yards and a touchdown, 10 catches last week for A-Rob. So maybe that's the case with the Chargers this week. Who knows? Austin Hooper, he's just been playing really well. And Matt Schaub targeted him a bunch in junk time. And, we saw Owen Daniels be a really good under-the-radar tight end back in the day for the Texans when Schaub was quarterback. So it should be interesting right there. Austin Hooper should definitely have a high floor this week. Keenan Allen against Chicago. Keenan Allen kind of been on and off lately, but hey, it's Keenan Allen. He does do really well in tough matchups every once in a while. And if they're going to be playing a Chicago team like this, Chargers are really in need of a win. Chicago's really in need of a win. So it's going to be a really interesting game right there. Hunter Henry, dude's just beasting and feasting. I think he's like a top 3 tight end in the games that he's been active in. 49ers defense against Carolina. I know we've seen the likes of McCaffrey put on some magic, but I do think the 49ers could definitely bully up this Carolina Panthers offensive line and cause fits for Kyle Allen at quarterback. Josh Lambo, good kicker right there for Jacksonville, and they'll be able to move the ball, I think, against New York Jets, at least get it in the, opposing teams' field goal range, and there you go. Matthew Stafford, like I said, good play. Melvin Gordon, I think, if you can, oh man, he just looks so shit. He looks so shit. He looks like Melvin Gordon his rookie year. And Eckler, I think maybe some disrespect was taken to the from the players, to the players from the coaching staff and letting Melvin Gordon come in to where Melvin Ingram gets hurt, and then this Melvin comes in for him, and Melvin Gordon just really looks like his rookie year, and it does not look too hot right now. So let's see right here. Josh Jacobs at running back for the Oakland Raiders. If they can try to get a running game going, then I think he's got a good floor to him. I think he does. He's getting a couple more catches the passing game, so pretty good play. Tyreek Hill against Green Bay. I still think he's still in a good spot to he can get you 12 to 15 points on one catch. That's all you need, and he's involved in the return game too. So if he gets a return against Green Bay special teams, there you go. You got 6 points. Cortland Sutton against Indianapolis. Indianapolis looked really good. I mean, it's a shame that Andrew Luck retired just all of a sudden before the season, because this Indianapolis Colts team, I think, would have been the favorite for the Super Bowl for sure, and especially at this point of the season, 7 weeks in, because Indianapolis looks like one of the top 3 best built and best coached, a combination of best built and best coached rosters in all of football. It's a shame to see that they have to deal with the quarterback situation right now. Even though Smoke Brissett is definitely tasting extra juicy and extra fatty on that one, because he's been playing pretty well. Just came off a 4-touchdown game. Travis Kelce, I think he can do well against Green Bay. Of course, you're going to start him. It's number 1 tight end drafted in every draft, basically. DJ Moore against San Fran should be interesting. I don't know. Royce Freeman against Indianapolis. I think Royce Freeman could get a couple catches in that game against Indianapolis. Indy's rush defense wasn't looking great, but now it's looked way better, so that should be interesting. Bears defense against the Chargers. I mean, we're seeing how that Chargers team might be prone to throwing a couple picks, and that offensive line looks terrible. So expect Khalil Mack to be feasting. So it should be interesting. Maybe a couple fumbles as well. Who knows? Justin Tucker, he's on bye. You might want to switch that man out. And here we go. Let's go to the next one. Come on, you son of a bitch. Let's go to the full box score overview. Maybe that fixed it. There we go. That totally fixed it. We got the 4-3. Oh, I do think Bobby's team is heavily favored, and they should win. Here we go. We got a juicy matchup right here. This might be the juicy. If Kamara's in, it's a juicier matchup. But between Colorado Cream Pies and Daddy's Home, Colorado Cream Pies on a 3-game skid right now. Just dealing with bye weeks at a lazy team owner who has a really good team and not doing anything with it. Deshaun Watson is in a really good spot against Oakland. I think he's in an even better spot than Rodgers is fantasy wise, just because Kansas City's going to be probably ran on about 20, at least 20 rushing attempts by Adam Jones himself. I believe that they're going to have a huge rushing attack in that game, just to try to just get a win in Arrowhead. And the run game and defense is how you do it on the road, especially against good teams. We saw Indianapolis do that to beat KC, and that was with Mahomes. Now that with no Mahomes and they're in Arrowhead, they should be in a good spot Rodgers could have a decent floor in this one, Coob. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you got to play him. He's been MVP level at running back, just on record pace right now for yardage, maybe touchdowns as well. I mean, if Christian McCaffrey was just a wide receiver, he'd be a wide receiver one. And the fact that he's a running back too is just gives you the best overall running back and best overall fantasy player by far this season. David Montgomery against the Chargers. Chargers have looked weak in the rushing game, so should be interesting. Cooper Kupp against Cincinnati, plug and play. Golden Tate with that revenge game against Detroit should be interesting. Arizona is a great matchup for Jared Cook. I mean, Arizona is a great matchup for anybody. We just saw a hurt Evan Ingram, though, not play too well. But we'll just have to see. Maybe it had something to do. Maybe Arizona's defense won't be as bad just because of the presence of Patrick Peterson. Right? Is it? I'm pretty sure it's Patrick Peter. Why do I keep on? Oh yeah, Patrick Patterson, the basketball player. But Patrick Peterson on the Arizona Cardinals might make him a way better defense. Who knows? It's not that hard to make him way better at defense at that point. Robbie Anderson against Jacksonville. Jacksonville has Jalen Ramsey gone, and their secondary hasn't looked nearly as great, even though they did look good against Cincinnati. It's always good to, go back to Cooper Kupp. He's in a great matchup because Cincinnati sucks. Manuel Sanders will be playing. He just recently got traded to San Fran. They were in need of, more wide receiver presence. Maybe he'll get targeted quite a bit by Jimmy Garoppolo out of the slot. Patriots defense, plug and play every week. Look at that, averaging 23.7 points per game. Jesus. Tai Long. Alvin Kamara's in a really good spot. He plays. I think James White's in a really good spot next week, especially if Burkhead is out. Brandon Cooks could, he's another guy like Tyreek Hill. Not quite like Tyreek Hill, but, he was making plays with Drew Brees when they played together. And Tom Brady, like a Tyreek Hill, used like him to where, he could catch the ball 2 times like you saw with Valdez Scantling last week and still get you 20 fantasy points. That's all you need from him, and it's a great matchup. Tyrell Williams, hopefully he's back this next week. We saw Houston just recently traded and sent a second-round pick, I believe, for a cornerback. Tyrell Williams still going to be in a good spot. Eric Ebron gets Denver. I mean, tight end is really low. We're really seeing a big dip in tight end this season. Just a huge difference between like the top 5 and everybody else. So sorry, Coop. John Brown's in a really good spot. LaShawn McCoy, we'll have to see if they try to rely on the running game and stuff like that. Who knows? Vikings defense is actually a really good defense this week against the Redskins at home. Vikings play way better at home. And so enjoy yourself a nice lead after Thursday night, Coop, because I think that Vikings defense could get you about 15, 20 points this week. Mason Crosby kicking it up for Green Bay. And here we go. Max's team. Mason Rudolph. I don't know what point you're at right now at quarterback. I know Mahomes just got hurt. We'll have to see. But right now, it appears that David Johnson is going to be out this week. So just go ahead and play Chase Edmonds if you have him. I think Justin does. David Johnson's going to be out. Dak Prescott's on bye. Michael Gallup on bye. So, for a 3-4 team right now in 9th place, and then a 4-3 team in 5th place, 1 game behind, just running into bye weeks now. Max is sitting in a good spot to maybe take over that spot behind Will right there to make it 4-4 apiece for both these teams. And also, I do think that if Kamara plays, there's a good chance Coop gets another win this week, and Cooper loses 4 straight. We'll just have to see. Mason Rudolph is in a good spot, but we'll just have to see if he's, not mentally retarded at this point. Leonard Fournette against the Jets. CJ Mosley, We saw them give up a couple rushing touchdowns to even Sony Michelle, but Leonard Fournette is, as some people coin him, the fat McCaffrey because he's getting so much usage. I mean, he's getting like 5 to 8 catches per game now, getting at least 20 rushes per game. Leonard Fournette is really looking good lately. He's a good spot. Frank Gore against Philly. Get him out of your lineup if you can and put another running back in there. If not, you just have to deal with it. Marvin Jones in a good spot against New York after a 4 touchdown game. Jesus. DJ Shark's in a good spot against the Jets. George Kittle's in a good spot. Of course, you got to play that guy if you have him. Kenny Stills now gets a big bump. I think Kenny Stills could have a really good game. Um, against Oakland, just like because Kenny Stills is the dude. You see Will Fuller's potential, and you just see how many times he just drops the fucking ball. Also, too, can Will Fuller like start doing some certain exercises that are different than his normal like regimen? Because like the dude's just hamstrings just like crying because it's either not strong enough or there's another or his quads are just too strong for his hamstrings. I don't know what the fucking deal is. But Corey Davis is in a great spot against Tampa Bay. Nice pickup. Steelers in a great spot against Miami. Will Lutz, that offense is going to move the ball, I think, find ways. It's Sean Payton offense. You'll get points for you. Devontae Freeman against Seattle. We'll have to see if they rely on the run game more. So we'll have to see what the deal is if Dan Quinn is gone and a coaching change takes place, influencing a better offensive scheme because he was a defensive coach and their offense is like shit ever since Kyle Shanahan left. They just would play well in garbage time, but with Kyle Shanahan, they would actually have an offense that would dictate games. It's not the case anymore. Julian Edelman, plug and play. Calvin Ridley, I think he has potential to catch. He's another guy that he can get you like 10 points on a catch. So there you go. Darren Fells, he's in a good matchup though against Oakland. So Philip Lindsay could have a good game. We'll have to see how Denver approaches things. And yeah, just have to look at your roster to see who you can put in for Dak and Michael Gallup. Bills defense should be a really low. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, right? I mean, between Philly and the Bills, I think Philly's defense is good for this week as well. Robbie Gold, a good offense, or a decent offense, going to move the ball. So here we go. I do think that if Will is really beat down on players that he can sub in for those guys that are on bye, that I do expect Max to win it. Pork Chop Express 4-3 in fourth place. Phil's boy 0-7. I'm sorry, Peyton. I know it's happened. Carson Wentz at quarterback against Buffalo. It should be interesting. If you can get another quarterback, maybe, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think they'll get anything on the ground game, so maybe he throws 2 or 3 touchdowns and gets you a really sloppy fantasy performance that still gets you his average points up to 20 maybe. Le'Veon Bell's in a decent spot against Jacksonville, I think. He's a pretty good spot, actually. We saw what McCaffrey did to him, and Le'Veon Bell's just the same kind of running back you're starting to see a lot of running backs become. A Brian Westbrook type guy that can run the ball, but definitely get utilized in the passing game. Dalvin Cook's going to get you a ton of points tomorrow. Robert Woods is in a great spot. D.D. Westbrook's in a great spot. Zach Ertz will have to be targeted quite a bit. I mean, we saw him not get targeted. I'm sure he's going to be. I'm sure he's going to be the squeaky wheel, and probably had some words to say to Wentz after that game because he just did not get. I don't even think he recorded a catch. I don't fucking know. I don't remember, but that was just not a good performance against Dallas. Marlon Mack. Maybe Indianapolis gets things going on the running game this week. Chase Edmonds, yeah, you're going to play the man. Rams defense against Cincinnati, beautifully done right there. And Harrison Butker, I think he's still. I bet, maybe that offense gets the ball down the field. Andy Reid is a man of wisdom, and Butker might get himself double digits this week. Josh Allen, great play at quarterback. I think he's a nice pickup right there. He has a great schedule coming up. He plays Miami again. And it'll be on the road, so maybe he'll have to pass more. But Philly's a great matchup for them. They're not going to get much done in the running game. Why I said Frank Gore should be someone that you look to replace in that starting lineup, Max. And then Derrick Henry against Tampa Bay. That's going to be a tough spot, but you got to play him at this point with your other options. T.Y. Hilton is interesting. Chris Harris defense might come to town. And I don't know, but we'll have to see. T.Y. Hilton in the dome is always interesting. Scary Terry We'll have to see how well he plays. Minnesota hasn't been amazing against wide receivers this season as we've seen in the past. Xavier Rhodes maybe not playing nearly as well as he usually does, as we saw with Marvin Jones get 4 touchdown receptions. Jesus, that was crazy. OJ Howard against Tennessee. We'll have to see if OJ Howard starts getting attention again, but just doesn't seem bright for that future. DK Metcalf is in a really good spot. Jamal Williams is in a really good spot. Eagles defense is a really good spot. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe Peyton and I know Peyton's got the personality for it. Be optimistic and just fucking try to ruin people's playoff hopes at this point. And I don't know if you can make the playoffs at 6-7, but if you can just ruin about 3 or 4 people's playoff chances every now and again, I bet that would be worth it at 0-7 for the rest of the season. I think Justin wins though. But hey, that's why it's an upset. Here we go. We got Where's My Bot Godskowski now against Zaris' squad. Matt Ryan, we'll have to see what happens with the injury report on him, but he's in a good spot against Seattle at home. Tariq Cohen against the Chargers, I think he'll be utilized in the passing game, even though Trubisky has been the guy to not use him nearly as much. Rashad Penny, excuse me, against Atlanta hasn't just been utilized nearly much. If he can just find another running back off the waivers, because it's just not a good shape for these running backs. Mohamed Sanu just got traded to New England, so maybe that's to obviously they need a guy to come in to get a decent floor for them to get the job done. That's the Patriots. They're always finding guys to just do their job. So maybe Mohamed Sanu gets a pretty good bump in just the efficiency and the quality of his touches this season. And he's done pretty well anyways, just in Matt Ryan offenses. So with Tom Brady at quarterback, I would like that too. Chris Conley against the Jets. He just hasn't been used that much. Jamie Graham, though, against Kansas City, that's a good spot. So is MVS. Stefan Diggs, like I said before, I would take out Chris Conley, try to replace him in the lineup anyways, but always put your flex guys, or always put your Thursday night players that you for sure are going to play in your lineups, and go ahead and put them in those top 4 slots at 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, or even a tight end that you want to really play for the week, because it just will make it a hell of a lot easier on you, because think about it, right? If you have your player play in a wide receiver slot, then, your wide receiver slot's taken. But if it's in a flex and you've already played the player and then another wide receiver gets hurt, then you have to look for a wide receiver. But if that player, is hurt in the flex spot, then technically you now have the ability and the utilization to move in a tight end, a running back, or a wide receiver, obviously. So put Diggs in there. I think he'll have a really good week against Washington. Jaguars defense is set up in a decent spot. I mean, Sam Darnold, we saw the meltdown, and he can still throw in a good game. 2 interceptions. Well, 2 touchdowns too. Greg Zuerlein, great kicker. Tom Brady against Cleveland. I think he'll try to pass the ball. I could actually see a game to where they're playing chase, because I could see the Browns hand them their first loss this season. Not because it's anything that's logical behind my thinking or analytical. I just think it's just one of those situations. You always see New England has one of those games every year. That's like the Titans last season, going into a game to heavily favored, and they end up losing the game. Todd Gurley against Cincinnati. It's a good matchup, but Todd Gurley's just not looking the same. Bad matchup for Jordan Howard, though. If you can replace him take him out of that lineup, then I think you'll be good. Michael Thomas, great spot against Arizona. Tyler Lockett, great spot against Atlanta. Dawson Knox, I think he's in a good spot, and like I said with Josh Allen, they're gonna have to pass the ball on John Brown as well. Alshon Jeffrey, interesting spot, I think, against Buffalo. Could be one of the, Alshon's the type of dude that, he's not giving you top numbers, but in tough matchups he seems to grind things out quite a bit. Odell Beckham, who knows? He could either have a huge game or he could get shut down by Gilmore, but we'll have to see. But Matt Prater at kicker, and still projected more than Tilden without the defense this week. Maybe doesn't want to drop him. So we'll just have to see, but I'm going to pick Czars for that one. Juicy matchup of the week, though, is going to be the Colorado Cream Pies visiting at home, Daddy's home, with Daddy Minshew right there. Minshew Magic, Minshew Walk with Coob's team. I think it's good, juicy, nice, good, juicy matchup because Christian McCaffrey is setting Cooper up with quite a bit of good games. But I would have to say too is that it's a tough matchup this week, and if Alvin Kamara can play, then you could get a win from either one of these teams. Let's go ahead and look at the standings real quick. Come on. Ooh, Wells Fargo $400 welcome bonus offer. But we'll take 4,000 from you without knowing it when you reach fucking 60 years old and become senile. Hey, come on, let's go. We're back to that awkward talk again. All right. So, my team right now just currently at top. Things could happen at any moment, so who knows? 6-1, 5-2 barbecue sauce in second place. 4-3 Colorado cream pies, followed by pork chop express and beej yoki. Sorry, Jesus Christ, I can't pronounce this shit. Yoshi. Oh, Jesus. Captain Inthano at 4-3. Denton Degens at 4-3. Daddy's home at 4-3. So it's quite a competition between what you're seeing 3 through 8 right now with the same record. Could totally change the next week. And there's also a team that's 3-4. So you never know. With a big week by Max's team, he could catapult into the top 6 to get into playoff position. Revenge Tour 2-6 is what I was predicting. So unfortunately, I think it's going to be 2-6 for Tilden's team, and then possibly 1-7, but most likely 0-8. Top scoring team so far. Top scoring team is 6-1 team, so it is starting to correlate with points scored and stuff like that. Bobby's team, of course, the top team for moves, 30 moves so far. My God, um, five, yeah, and then right behind him, Colorado Cream Pies. To where that's how good his team has been. Is that he's still 4-3, yet he's had a ton of points scored against him. Same thing with Tilden's team, and Peyton's team has had a ton of points scored against him. It's just unfortunate you get that scheduling sometimes, and it's a pain in the ass. But yeah. But that'll conclude week 8 for the Goons God Fantasy. Fellas, y'all take care. Good luck this week. If you have any questions about lineup stuff, just ask me, Coob. And to finish it off and to polish it off, Coob. Um, no, I'm not going to trade Eckler. I think, I'll have to see. I'm in a position to where I don't have to make trades right now, fortunately enough. And Eckler's just looking like the way better running back, and he did before. I just don't want to trade that because they're still going to use him in every single game, and especially in games the way they've looked out of shape. So Eckler's definitely a player, and I think Eckler's the steal of the draft this year. He's played excellently. He's done really well. And yeah, I just expect the Chargers to start getting to their senses a little bit. Who cares about Melvin Gordon's fucking contract? He's not playing next year for y'all. So don't try to even run him to the ground. Don't even play him. Just play Eckler, man. Just play Eckler. Or maybe they're just using Melvin Gordon so Eckler doesn't get hurt because they know Eckler's better. But who knows? But a lot of people drafted Eckler in like the 6th or 7th round. It's a steal. It's a top 5 running back so far this season, and he's just showing how good he is and how impressive he is. He's basically doing better than Danny Woodhead even ever did, and Danny Woodhead was still a top 20 running back, especially in PPR formats for Philip Rivers Chargers teams. As always, y'all, take care. Be grateful for everything that comes to you, positive and negative. Always try to find a way to make it positive. And yeah, like I said, hit me up for any bit of advice, maybe a third opinion on something like that, maybe even a trade offer as well. Later, fellas. Take care and good luck this week.